Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead with the monthly member meeting, and we're going to be posting this to YouTube. So my name is Zebediah Medina, and I am the president for the State Executive Council this year. Kylie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kylie Costin, and I am the Vice President of Community Service, Membership, and Public Relations. Okay, so first we're going to be going over STAR event info. So we just wanted to let you know that all students have to be affiliated at both state and national level, or else they are not eligible to compete. And the deadline to complete this with full payment is January 14th, which was last Friday. New Mexico members are allowed to compete in one national event and one state event. Okay, so competing in a STAR event can definitely be overwhelming. So what you should do is you should always check the rubric for your STAR event to make sure that you are meeting all the requirements. Because if you don't meet all the requirements, that would just be sad, putting all that work. So definitely make sure you're meeting all the requirements. And definitely another great tool is to definitely use the FCCLA planning process, because that will allow you to go step by step and meet all your goals within the deadline. And then just make sure you practice. Practice makes improvement. Please let us know in the chat if you have any other questions about STAR events, or you can just unmute yourself.
So tonight we're also going to be talking about advocacy. So we're going to talk about what is advocacy, advocacy basics, how advocacy can be used, and where you can advocate. So what is advocacy? Advocacy is speaking or writing in favor of, supporting, or urging by argument, or recommending publicly. So this includes educating your stakeholders. A stakeholder is someone that has an interest in what you're doing and the project you're working on. So it's really important to keep your educators or your stakeholders educated. And this is really what advocacy is, just keeping them in the loop and informed. Your goal when advocating is to leave a lasting impression about your organization or your group of organizations. So that's always the end goal when we're advocating. Next, some advocacy basics. First off, be organized. It's really important to organize not only what you want to present, but your thoughts, and think out, okay, how do I want to tackle this? How do I want to present this to my stakeholders? Whatever it may be, it's always easy to write down the topics you want to talk about and organize them from beginning to end, and then practice how much you want to talk about them and what you're going to say. When you're sharing things, it's really important to keep in mind that you want to share personal stories and experiences. This is how stakeholders learn how your program has affected you and how you've grown from it. And this makes them want to help out more or become more involved. So don't be afraid to tell a deeper story. You also always want to talk about how, well, I already talked about that, but it's really important to talk about how you've grown and how you've learned, and always be consistent. It's important to create a consistent relationship with your stakeholders and always keep in touch. Don't be too dodgy, or inconsistent. You want to always be presenting them with more information and keeping them updated and in the loop. So how can advocacy be used? You can advocate for any cause, right? It's just about informing people, and advocacy is just teaching people about your cause. So you can advocate for yourself. This is a really important skill when you get to jobs, interviews, and other things later down the road. You want to be able to talk about yourself and present yourself in a really positive way. You can also advocate for an organization. The state officers, we advocate for FCCLA, and we do this in a lot of ways, which we'll kind of touch on a little bit later. But you can also advocate for your community. So there's lots of community things that go on, maybe different fundraisers, community outreach. Those are things that you can also share with others and create traction for. So with that, I'll pass it back to Kylie, and she'll talk a little bit about where you can advocate, especially for FCCLA.
Okay, so you can advocate for FCCLA or really for anything, but we're going to focus on FCCLA. In a lot of different places, really anywhere, but here are a few examples. At Virtual Roundhouse, you can definitely practice advocating to peers or to other people there. CTE month is also a great way to bring attention to CTSOs and FCCLA and like show people like what we do and what we're about. FCCLA week, that's another great one, and it is actually coming up right here in February. Our 75th anniversary is this year, so that's a cool way to like get people interested and be like, oh, we've been doing this for 75 years. And on social media, just say like, you could just like post and be like, hey, this is what we do, this is what we're up to, like cool things like that. Okay, so our next meeting is going to be February 7th, 2022, which is in a couple weeks, and that is FCCLA week, so that's going to be a fun one.
And real quick, I'll just say some of those topics that we talked about, like CTE month and FCCLA week, those are great for your own chapter social media accounts, and those are just great topics to kind of push and talk about, and they really help stakeholders understand our organization a little bit better. Are there any questions that anyone has? Okay, if there are any questions anyone has, especially after watching this, if you see this on the YouTube channel, you can reach out to the state officers and you can find our emails on the FCCLA website, the CTSO website, I believe. And I believe that's all we have tonight. Thank you.
Guys, for FCCLA week.
Could you please repeat that?
What's been a favorite activity that you guys have done for FCCLA week? This is our first one, so I'm trying to be a little creative. What are some of the things that you've done that you've enjoyed?
So I know in my chapter, we've done a lot of different parties, and so we take it as an opportunity to have like a membership drive. So we'll say one member, each member who's invited, you have to bring one person who's not already in FCCLA. And so that automatically kind of helps us double our numbers. And we say, here's what FCCLA is all about. This week is all about FCCLA. So we give a lot of information at the school. We say, hey, maybe we're going to have a bake sale for FCCLA during FCCLA week. And it's just a really great time for outreach. So you can do a wide variety of different things.
As a former FCCLA member, I definitely agree with Zeb. FCCLA week is a great time for membership drives. A lot of times we would kind of treat it like a spirit week. And so you kind of like wear your FCCLA uniform one day or something like that, where you kind of get to do something fun with every day. It's also a really good time to do community service projects, and that's something my chapter always did. So those are always good to tie in. And on the FCCLA, the National FCCLA website, they actually have kind of a theme for each day. And so that kind of also could maybe give you some ideas to play around with.
In fact, the themes are on Monday, it's members. On Tuesday, it's focus on service. On Wednesday, it's educators and looking at maybe FCS educators. In fact, Wednesday is, let me turn my camera on for a minute. It is Say Yes to FCS Day on Wednesday. And then on Thursdays, focus on skills that you learn through FCS and CTSOs. And then Friday is FCCLA day, and wear red that day.
Are there any other questions? Awesome. Well, then I think that's all we have for everyone tonight. Thank you very much for coming.